Hello everyone, in this video I'll be demonstrating the walkthrough of Pandora machine from HackTheBox. And in this machine, after getting a shell, I found two ways to do privilege escalation, and I'll be showing both of them in this video. So let's copy the IP address and paste it in the web browser, and let's do the nmap scan. Nmap, and then for the TCP scan we'll do nmap, then verbose output, running some basic scripts, the versions and other versions. So since I've already done this, I'll just show you the results. So here I found two ports open, port 22 and port 80 is open. Port 22 has SSH and port 80 has a website, which is this. And in this website there is nothing particularly interesting that stands out, because every link leads to this page only. So there's no link that we can tamper with, or even this doesn't do anything. So now we do UDP scan on this machine, because TCP doesn't have any particular thing. So for that we use SU, and since it requires root permissions, we'll do sudo nmap and this command. And I've already done this scan, and this scan particularly takes too much time to execute. For me it took around 900 seconds something, that's 15 minutes or more, so be patient for it. Nmap, and then the UDP scan output is port 161 is open, which is UDP port, and it's running SNMP. So SNMP is basically simple network management protocol, which is used for configuring remote devices and manage network. So monitor network basically, but you see it was open on UDP, and if we check it on the TCP port, so it won't be visible, because in TCP it shows closed, but in UDP it's open. So let's enumerate the port of SNMP. I'll use MSF console for it without the banner first. Now we'll do the enumeration of SNMP, and I'll use the auxiliary module of MSF console, and we'll try and find some information related to SNMP through which we can gain further ground. Now that the MSF console is on, we'll search for something related to SNMP, and it shows 33 results, so we need enumeration of it. So that's the 25th result that shows auxiliary scanner of SNMP enumeration. We'll just copy it, and we'll say use this module, and we'll see the options for it. It only requires one option, other options are set by default, that is R host. So we'll set the R host as the IP address that we are attacking, which is 10, 10, 11 and 136. Oh sorry, I forgot to type R host. Check it again, set, and we'll run it. Even this can take some time for execution, so you have to be patient for it. So the MSF console returned its result. It's the SNMP result, displaying system information, Pandora, running Linux. The user is Daniel currently, and there's some network information, the network interfaces, the IP addresses, and here we can also see that there's some TCP connection on port 80. So maybe in some time we might have to do port forwarding, and the results, there are two main results. What we need is the process information. So this is the process information. So there might be some interesting process information which we could use. So right away we see this 864 process ID number, that is the bin bash run, and to check to do a host check, and the user is Daniel and the password is Hotel Babylon 23. So we'll use this as the SSH credentials. So I'll just copy this information and I'll do SSH to user Daniel at 10, 10, 11 and 136, and paste in the password. So we got the shell access as the user Daniel. So we'll check what all is in its home folder. So it's nothing particularly interesting. Some SSH, profile, some Cheezel for port forwarding, and some other user probably did this. But yeah, let's check how many users are there in the system. There are two users, Daniel and Matt. So maybe Matt user has the user.txt file. Yeah, Matt user has that. So let's see and do more enumeration and using linpiece only. So I'll do a copy paste of linpiece. So I'll just save this password somewhere. Might need it sometime later. So what we'll do now is we'll move in linpiece folder file in this directory. And we'll just send it using SCP. Let's send it to the temp directory only. The password was babylon 23. Yeah, it's getting sent. So let's go to temp, and there is our linpiece file. Let's change the permissions to executable, and now we run the file. So there's this output of linpiece, and we see some potential p vector over here, which is vulnerable to CV 2021-4034. So let's check it out, because there's 95% chance according to the linpiece. Let's check on the GitHub page only. There are some C files and a bash script. Let's git clone it in our directory, Pandora. And we'll go to the CV folder. You see a make file is there, and I think make is required for compiling it and then running it. So let's check if the machine has make or not. Make command is not available and we can't install it as of now. So let's do one thing. We'll compile it here and then send the files on the target machine. So we'll do make, and it's compiling it. Now we'll send pwnkit.so and this CV file output, which is this. And we'll also use these commands on the victim machine or the target machine. And now let's do linpiece pwnkit.so. Then the other file is cve and we'll go to Daniel @ 10 10 11 136. Let's keep it in temp. Okay. It is sent. Now let's see if it's there, and the CVs are present. So let's run the CV, and it shows that cannot convert the messages. So we forgot to run these other commands also, which is this. It was there in the make file, so it's supposed to be executed. Hopefully the modules file is also there now. Yeah. So let's run the command now. And we have the root access on this machine. Let's try who am I, and we have the root. We can go in the root directory, and we can see that there's the root.txt file over here. So this was the first way to get root access in the machine. Now we'll look into the second way of getting the root access on this machine. So for the second way of doing privilege escalation, we see that there's something running on port 80, and which can also only be accessed using the local host. So what we'll do is we'll port forward the port 80 on our port 80. So we'll do a port forwarding using SSH only, SSH Daniel, then the port 80 of the machine to our local host port 80, and the password of Daniel was this. So we are connected to, we have done port forwarding now. Let's see if it's available on our local host port 80. So we can see a Pandora FMS being used. So we don't know the username and password, and there's no register button. So let's check if there is a vulnerability for Pandora FMS, or rather Pandora console only. Pandora. So here there's critical code vulnerability, a blog written on it. Let's check. There are multiple vulnerabilities. We'll try the SQL injection. So here we find one. It's a URL encoded apparently. Let's check if it still works though. And we'll remove the encoded part. And we have gotten access. That exploit was to be used pre-authentication. So we have got access to the admin portal apparently. We have admin now, and we'll check the admin tools, and then there's the file manager over there. So in file manager we can upload images, and since it shows index of images, you can also check here because it's using Pandora, right? So we can go to cd var www and Pandora console. So here there are these many files there. The Pandora console is there, the images file is there. So hopefully whatever we add over here, it will be displayed in the images section, and it's using Apache 2. You can check that also. go to etc apache, and I guess sites enable ls, and there's this Pandora config. We can cat it. It shows that the virtual host is 80 and it's for Pandora. That's admin's email. And what we'll do is we'll upload one PHP reverse shell. So upload file over here. First, let's edit our PHP reverse shell. So downloads, I'll get the PHP reverse shell over here, and we'll edit it. Set up our IP address, which is 10.10.14.15. And the port number, let's keep it 9001. So let's upload our PHP file. Hit go, and the file is uploaded successfully. So we can check that using the going to the images section. So that is cd var, then www Pandora and Pandora console images. So here you can check using ls, and that php ref. So yeah, our file is here. So what we can do now is go to this directory only, these images. So we can do Pandora console and then images and php rev.php, and since our port is, let's see what was our port, that is php rev. Our port was 8018. I changed it because some player reset the machine, so I had to change the payload. And then let's set up a netcat listener on that port and access the file. So we got the shell access, that is user mat, and we can see which directory we are currently in. We are in the root directory. Let's move on to the mat's home directory. We can't go there. Let's stabilize this shell first. I think Python 3 is there. pty.spawn, and remember to balance the codes. We got mat user, then let's go to the home directory of mat. You can see that there's the user flag and no SSH apparently, so let's create the SSH directory and log in using SSH. So for that we have to do mkdir.ssh cd into .ssh, and before that we can do one thing. We'll assign the permission as 700 on the SSH folder that we created. Then we'll go in .ssh and we'll create one text file as authorized keys, and we'll assign 600 to it so that only read and write is possible. Okay, I forgot the file name. I'm not typing it again. Let's create one SSH key, SSH ID, RSA, and public private key. So let's see if the ID RSA public is there. Yeah, it's there. So let's copy it and paste it there. Let's copy our ID RSA public key and paste it in there. Was this directory? Yeah. So we'll do echo on this public key and that to authorized key. So that's done. So we'll log in using SSH now. SSH. Using the private key, and we are now logged into the mat user of the Pandora box. So we'll exit from here. And now since we are mat user, we might have some additional functions which we can access. So first, let's check if we can use sudo. So I don't know the password. Let's not go in there. So let's find if there are some SUID binaries. So for that, the command is firm, and if u is equal to s, and send the unsuccessful request to devnet. Find that there are these many SUID binaries, and the unusual one definitely is this Pandora backup. So let's try and run the binary. It just looks like it's taking a backup, and we can see that it's using tar for it, and it is just using tar, not the whole path. So we can do path injection in there. So for that, what we'll do is we'll go to temp first. I clear out the screen, and we'll create one file of bin bash and name it tar. So that is echo bin bash, and we'll send it to tar, and we'll set the permissions it to be executable. We'll echo the path, current path. It doesn't have temp in it, so we'll export temp as an environment path. So that we'll do path equals temp, and then colon the path. So our temp is there in the environment path now. So we can try and run the command once again. That was the SUID binary, and hopefully we'll get a root access. So yeah, we now have the root access on this machine, because the tar binary which the backup is using, it doesn't go directly to the normal tar, but instead the tar file which we created, that is bin bash. So it executes using the root permissions, and we get the root access. So we can see that we are root now, on our root, and we can access the root directory. There's this root file. Thank you for watching.